I'm going to read Chapter 4, Patty Sleeps in the Basement, of At the Bangles House by Aunt Teresa. "They were the cutest ones I've ever seen," said Mother Bangle, as she put a crisp brown pancake on Daddy Bangle's plate. "I wish we could buy one for the children." "So do I," replied Daddy Bangle. "But dollars don't grow on cherry trees. With taxes the way they are and the car needing repairs, we can't afford it right now." "I suppose not," sighed Mother Bangle. "And it would be extra work for me. I always thought I'd rather have a black one, but now that I've seen those taffy-colored ones, I believe I'd like that color best." "A black what?" asked Billy Bangle, who had suddenly appeared in the kitchen, his hair standing straight up, his pajamas all wrinkled, and Billy not all awake by any means. "A black dog," replied his mother. Billy was wide awake in a jiffy. A dog! He and Patty had been wanting a dog for a long, long time. "Oh, Mom, are we going to get a dog? When? What kind?" "Now don't get so excited, Billy. Your daddy and I were over at the Nelsons last night. Their Cocker Spaniel has 4 cute puppies, and Nelsons wanted us to buy one, but Daddy and I don't think we can afford it just now." "Oh, Mom, all the other kids have dogs. Why can't we? We never get anything like other kids," pouted Billy. "Watch your tone of voice," warned Daddy Bangle. "A dog makes lots of extra work. Besides, we can't afford a dog just now, and I think you'd better scoot upstairs and get some clothes on." Of course, Billy told Patty about the little puppy the Nelsons wanted the Bangles to buy. Joey heard them talking about it, and so the Bangle House became the doggiest place you ever saw. Joey drew a picture of a dog with a great big head and a funny little body and 5 legs. Grandpa admired it, and Joey gave it to him. Grandpa was so pleased with it that he gave Joey 10 cents. Then Joey drew a dog on the bathroom wall. Daddy wasn't pleased with that, and he gave Joey something. It wasn't a dime. Maybe you can guess what it was. Billy, who hardly ever brought books from the library, came home with 3 books on dogs and how to care for them. Patty mooned around and talked and talked and talked dogs until Mother Bangle thought she couldn't stand it any longer. But Patty didn't talk only to the Bangles about it. She talked to God about it, too. Patty talked to God about almost everything. She found it very comforting to lie in bed and tell God things. One day, about 3 weeks after the dog was first mentioned, the telephone rang and the 3 Bangles heard Mother say, "Oh, but Mrs. Nelson, you could get $25 easy for such a beautiful dog. Do you mean you'd let us have it for $5? When the Bangles, Billy, Patty, and Joey heard that, all 3 made a dive for the phone. "Mom, please let us have him. Please, Mom." "Just a moment, Mrs. Nelson. I can't hear a thing." Turning to the children, Mother Bangle said, in an exasperated tone of voice, "Will you children hush for a few minutes? I can't hear a thing." "Hello, Mrs. Nelson. We'll talk it over and I'll call you back later." She had no more put down the receiver than Joey was tugging at her dress, saying, "Please, Mom, get the puppy dog." Billy was saying, "Mom, I counted the money in my bank, and I have $2.60. I'll give it all for the dog." And Patty, "Oh, Mom, I'll give the money I've saved, too. I have $2.38, and I'll take care of the puppy. I'll take him out, I'll feed him and everything. Honest I will, Mom." "Well, we'll see." The children could tell Mother was really weakening. "We'll have to ask Daddy." Daddy didn't weaken as easily as Mother did. 3 clean, quiet Bengal children waited for Daddy that night. They were so good that butter wouldn't melt in their mouths. "What's the matter with our brood?" asked Daddy when he and Mother Bangle were alone in the kitchen. So she told him how Mrs. Nelson had called and said they would sell a dog for $5. She wanted to sell the dog to folks she knew would love him. Daddy didn't say anything, just gave Mother a queer sort of look that seemed to say, "You're an old softy, and maybe I am too." Daddy asked the blessing that night. Then he said in a very solemn tone of voice, "Meeting will now come to order. It seems as though the Bangle family has a big decision to make. We shall have to take a vote. All in favor of having a dog, hold up your hand and say aye." Billy's hand shot up quick as lightning, and he shouted "Aye!" with a big grin on his face. Patsy's face was wreathed in smiles as she said "Aye." Joey didn't quite know what it was all about. He thought they were saying "Hi," so he waved at Daddy and said "Hi, Daddy." Then he turned and waved at Mother. "Hi, Mommy." It was too bad Mother Bangle had spent so much time getting dinner ready, for none of them knew what he was eating. They were all too happy and excited to know whether they were eating meatloaf or scalloped potatoes or spinach. The next afternoon Patty and Mother Bangle went over to the Nelsons' house and got Golden Boy, whose grandfather had been Golden King, and whose father was Golden Treasure. None of the Bangles cared much that he was a pedigreed dog. All they were interested in was that he was a bundle of bright golden fun they had named Taffy. True to his word, Billy had emptied his bank, giving $2.60 toward the purchase of the dog, and Patty had given $2.38. They had been short 2 cents, but Daddy said, "I'll pay the 2 cents, but if I do, the tail belongs to me." It was a good buy, for Taffy's tail was as cute as he was. The first night the puppy came to live with the Bangles, it happened Mother and Daddy had to go to a parent-teacher association meeting. They never stayed out late when the children were alone, and of course they always left a telephone number in case anything happened and they were needed at home. At 8 o'clock Billy and Patty went upstairs to bed, as they had promised they would. Joey had gone to bed a little earlier. It was 9 o'clock when Billy woke up. He listened, thinking he heard something scraping against his window. It frightened him terribly. He crept out of bed and into Patty's room. Patty's bed was empty. Billy went downstairs and looked in the living room, then in Mother's bedroom, the den, the kitchen, thinking Patty had heard him and was hiding. But Patty was usually scared to go downstairs in the dark. Every minute Billy was becoming more afraid, and his thoughts got wilder and wilder. He remembered that Patty's window had been wide open. He remembered the knocking on his window and thought, "She's been kidnapped." Billy dialed the number Mother had left, and when he heard her voice he sobbed, "Mom, Patty's window is open and she's been kidnapped. She's gone." Mother tried to quiet him, but Billy was almost hysterical. "We'll be right home, Billy," said Mother in a calm voice, though she, too, was somewhat disturbed. Friends of the Bangles at the PTA meeting insisted on calling the police, and the officers arrived at the Bangle home before Daddy and Mommy did. The policeman looked carefully at the window sill, but there was no trace whatsoever of anyone having been in the room. They searched every nook and corner of the house and then cautiously went down the basement steps. By then Daddy and Mother were at their heels, followed by Billy, and what do you think? There in the corner of the basement, half sitting up but sound asleep, was Patty Bangle with a little fluffy taffy-colored puppy dog snuggled up contentedly in her lap. Patty blinked her eyes, then opened them wide in surprise, wondering where she was. Mother Bangle insisted on the policeman stopping for a cup of coffee. While they ate, Patty told them just what had happened. "I couldn't go to sleep. I was thinking about our Taffy. Then I heard him whimper and cry, so I got up and took an old quilt and came downstairs. I sang a little song to him, and he was so happy he went right to sleep." "I thought you were afraid to go downstairs alone, Patty, let alone to the basement," said Daddy. "Oh, Daddy, I didn't think about us. I just thought about the poor little puppy down there all alone." How come your window was wide open? And say, what about the knocking on my window?" questioned Billy. "I opened the window real wide 'cause I wanted to look up at the stars when I prayed, like Mom said she used to do when she was a little girl." "That knocking you told us about," said one of the policemen, "was only a branch from a tree scraping against the window, Billy." The policeman had gone. Things were quieting down in the Bangle household. But what was that noise? Oh, it was only a little puppy crying. "I won't be able to sleep a wink with that dog whimpering like that," said Mother. "Say, know what? In one of those books I got from the library, it says a little puppy can be quieted down by putting a hot water bottle near it," said Billy. "Sounds goofy, but it's worth trying," said Daddy. So the hot water bottle was filled and taken down to the basement. The old quilt was carefully folded, and Taffy, alias Golden Boy, snuggled down on the quilt beside the hot water bottle and went fast asleep. The Bangles often remembered and talked of the excitement they had at their house the first night Taffy came to live there. Patty remembered most of all that that was the night she got over being afraid of the dark. Many fears in life come because we're thinking about ourselves and not about something else or someone else, said Mother Bangle. You thought about Taffy, his need, then forgot yourself. Be smart, Patty. All through life, think about somebody besides Patty Bangle, and you'll find you won't have time for foolish fears. Be sure to listen to Chapter 5.